In 1951, a man named Clovis Hensley worked a overnight shift cleaning floors at a textile mill outside of Spartanburg, South Carolina. He made $62 a week, not a cent more. His boots were older than his youngest boy, and he ate lunch out of the same tin pail his daddy had carried into the coal seam 30 years before. When Clovis died in 1984, his family found a savings account with $411,000 in it. His supervisor at the mill didn't believe it when they told him. Today, most people working 2 jobs can't save $400. The men who built that kind of quiet wealth didn't do it with one big move. They did it with a stack of small ones, worked on weeknights and Saturday mornings out of garages and pickup trucks and back porches with tools they already owned. Most of those moves are sitting right now unclaimed because nobody handed the list down. But here's the twist. The oldest hustles on this earth are outperforming 90% of the side businesses the internet sells you for $47 a month. Not some of them, most of them. And you already own half of what you need to start. My name is Wade Tolliver. I'm 58 years old, 6th generation out of Tolliver Gap on the Cumberland Plateau in eastern Kentucky. My family came up here in 1788 and we haven't left. My grandfather, Emmett Tolliver, kept a black ledger from 1931 to 1979, 48 years of what things cost, what he got paid, and how he did every job. He wrote the numbers down in the margins too, friend. How long it took, what he charged, who paid and who didn't. He made me promise that book wouldn't die with him. I've got 40 years of margins I haven't cracked open yet. Tonight I'm reading 25 of those hustles back to you. Number 18 is one a man in West Texas is running out of his driveway right now, and people who've seen his book say he pulled in close to $180,000 last year. And number 7 was taught in American high schools until somebody decided spreadsheets were more useful. I'll tell you exactly when that stopped and why. 25, knife sharpening. Emmett started this one in 1934 with a whetstone his father had used since 1912. He charged 5 cents a blade. The Bureau of Labor Statistics puts the average weekly wage in 1934 at around $11, so 5 cents was nothing to ask. He worked 12 customers on a Saturday and cleared 60 cents. That's just over $14 in today's money for a morning's work. A quality pull-through electric sharpener today runs $40 to $80 retail. A set of Waterstones that will last a lifetime costs under $30. If you're charging $8 to $12 a knife now, 6 customers on a Saturday morning covers your stones in the first hour. 24. Chair caning. Parlor chairs with woven seats were in every house in America between 1900 and 1965. When the cane snapped, you recaned it. A woman named Bertie Oakes in the hill country of central Tennessee ran this out of her kitchen from 1948 to 1971. She charged $2.50 a seat, which the Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation calculator puts at roughly $28 today. Pre-woven cane webbing now costs $4 to $6 a yard at craft suppliers, and a seat uses less than half a yard. People selling recane chairs on resale platforms today are listing them between $90 and $200. The hustle never died. The knowledge did. 23. Render and sell lard. Before 1958, lard was in every kitchen in America. Crisco lobbied hard. The vegetable oil industry spent decades on advertising, and by 1970 lard had been pushed to the back of the shelf like something to be ashamed of. A farm family in southern Ohio in 1942 could render 20 pounds of lard from a single hog and sell it for 40 cents a pound. That's about $7.50 a pound in today's money. Leaf lard from small farms now sells at farmers markets between $10 and $16 a pound. If you have access to a local butcher or a small hog operation, the fat is often free or nearly free. Talk to your county extension office about proper handling and storage before you start. The hustle is alive. The stigma is all that killed it. 22. Beekeeping for beeswax, not just honey. Here's your first task of the week, neighbor. Go price beeswax right now. Unprocessed beeswax blocks sell wholesale between $8 and $12 a pound. processed and poured into small tins or lip balm molds. That same pound retails between $30 and $60. Emmett noted in 1951 that a man named Dillard Frazier, 2 hollows over, kept 4 hives and sold his wax to a hardware store in Harlan for 30 cents a pound. That's $3.20 in today's money. Dillard was undercharging by a mile. A beginner hive kit today runs between $200 and $250. That is recovered in one good wax harvest season. 21. Selling kindling bundles. A cord of firewood takes work. A bundle of kindling takes 20 minutes and a hatchet. In 1939, split kindling was sold door to door in small towns across Appalachia for a nickel a bundle. That's $1.10 today. Bundled kindling at gas stations and grocery stores right now runs $6 to $8. If you've got a wood pile and 45 minutes on a Friday afternoon, that gap is yours. 20. Cobbling and heel replacement. A full shoe rebuild in 1945, priced in the ledger, cost 40 cents for a heel replacement and $1.10 for a full sole job. That's $4.50 and $12.50 today. A new pair of work boots now cost between $140 and $220. A heel and sole repair kit from a leather supplier runs under $20. Basic cobbling was taught in vocational schools until the early 1970s, when fast fashion made repair seem like poverty. It was never poverty. It was arithmetic. Now the first pattern break, friend. Down from 20 toward the top, we leave the purely historical. Everything from here on is something a person can start this Saturday with tools most of you already own and skills you can pick up in a week. 19. Pressure canning for resale. Emmett recorded in 1956 that his sister Nola sold pint jars of green beans at the county market for 20 cents a jar. That's $2.20 today. Specialty and heirloom preserved goods at farmers markets and online now run $4 to $9 a pint. A basic pressure canner costs between $70 and $100. Jars run around $1 each. Check your state's cottage food laws before you sell. They vary by state and they matter, but in most of the country, shelf-stable canned goods fall under cottage food exemptions that allow direct sales without a commercial kitchen. 18. Mobile equipment sharpening. This is the one running in West Texas right now. The model is simple. A truck, a mounted grinder, and a route of landscapers, butcher shops, restaurants, and hair salons. A full professional blade grinder setup runs between $400 and $800. In 1963, a sharpening route in rural Kansas could clear $40 a week. That's $400 a week in today's money. People running mobile sharpening routes in mid-sized American cities have reported clearing between $60,000 and $180,000 a year. Depending on route density, there are no guarantees, but the demand is there, the competition is thin, and the startup cost fits in a pickup bed. 17. Reupholstering furniture. A dining chair that cost $12 to reupholster in 1967 costs between $150 and $300 at an upholstery shop today when you can find one that still does it. Fabric and foam for a single chair seat runs under $15 at a fabric warehouse. YouTube will teach you the staple pattern in an afternoon. The tools cost under $40. Emmett noted in 1944 that a woman in the valley below Tolliver Gap called Maudie Collett kept a full calendar of work through the entire war doing nothing else. She never had an empty week. 16. Selling split firewood by the face cord. A full cord of firewood runs between $200 and $400 depending on region and wood type. A face cord, which is 1/3 of a full cord, runs between $80 and $150. If you have land with fallen timber, a chainsaw and a splitter, the material cost is near zero. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows firewood as a consistent regional commodity through every decade since they started tracking fuel costs. This one never died. It just needs someone to show up and do it. 15. Fermentation and vinegar making. Raw apple cider vinegar with the mother sells at specialty grocers right now between $8 and $14 a quart. A 5-gallon batch started with apple scraps, which are free, produces roughly 20 quarts. Emmett's ledger shows his wife Cora selling quarts of her vinegar for 15 cents in 1948. That is $1.90 in today's money. She was producing 20 quarts a batch. The gap between then and now is not the product. It is who decided to market it. 14. Welding repair, small jobs. A mobile welder doing farm equipment and gate repair in rural areas in 1972 charged $6 to $8 an hour in southern Indiana. That is $45 to $50 an hour in today's money. Working welders doing mobile farm and equipment repair today charge between $75 and $125 an hour in most rural markets. A used entry-level MIG welder runs between $200 and $400. If you already know how to weld, the question is not whether the work exists. It does. The question is whether you've got a sign on your truck. Here's your second task of the week, neighbor. If you got a welder in your garage and no route, drive to 3 farms within 10 miles of your house this week and ask if they've got anything that needs fixing. Write down what they say. That list is your business plan. 13. Raw honey sales, direct to customer. Emmett wrote in 1955 that Dillard Frazier sold raw honey at 75 cents a pound when store honey was 40 cents. People paid more because they knew Dillard. That's the whole model. Raw local honey at farmers markets now runs $12 to $22 a pound. Commercial grocery honey runs $4 to $6. The gap is a decade of trust built 1 jar at a time. 12. Gun stock refinishing. A factory refinish on a wooden gun stock runs between $150 and $350 at a gunsmith shop. Refinishing supplies, oil, linseed, sandpaper, steel wool, run under $20 a stock. In 1961, a man in the hill country of West Virginia could pick up a scratch stock at a pawn shop for $3, refinish it over a weekend, and sell it for $12. That is $100 today, buy side, and $400 sell side. Know your state's laws on firearm parts before you handle anything. But the finish on the wood is furniture work, not gunsmithing, and in most states requires no license. Now the second pattern break. From here toward number 1, we stop talking about what Emmett wrote and start talking about what's running right now with the same arithmetic he used. 11. Small engine repair. Lawnmowers, generators, chainsaws, pressure washers. In 1968, a small engine repairman in rural Georgia charged $2.50 for a carburetor clean and tuned. That's $21 today. Shops doing the same work now charge between $65 and $115. A basic small engine repair course through a community college or a manufacturer's training program runs between free and $300. The tools to start fit in a single rolling cabinet, and the backlog at most small engine shops in rural areas right now runs 4 to 6 weeks. That gap is a business. 10. Raising and selling meat rabbits. A breeding pair of meat rabbits costs between $20 and $40. A litter of 8 kits raised to processing weight takes about 10 weeks and feeds primarily on hay and pellets that cost under $30 per litter. Dressed rabbit at specialty butchers and farmers markets runs $7 to $12 a pound. Emmett's ledger shows rabbit sales in 1941 at 20 cents a dressed pound. That is $4.20 today. The market has tripled that in real terms. This is not a conspiracy. It's a protein gap that local producers can fill if they show up. Not a conspiracy, neighbor. Just how markets work. Nobody told you to stop raising rabbits. They just made it easier and cheaper to buy a shrink-wrap package from a facility 8 states away, and that facility has lobbyists and you don't. 9. Soap making. Lye soap was made in every rural household in America until the early 1950s. A pound of commercial lye now runs $4 to $6. A gallon of used cooking oil is free from any restaurant that will let you collect it. A pound of finished cold processed soap uses roughly 12 ounces of oil and 4 ounces of lye. Handmade specialty soap at craft markets sells between $6 and $14 a bar. In 1946, a bar of store soap ran 12 cents. That is $1.60 today. The margin on handmade soap today is wider than it has ever been in the history of the product. 8. Ceramic and tile repair. Cracked grout and chipped tile in kitchens and bathrooms is one of the most common home repair jobs that homeowners don't touch because it looks complicated. It is not. A grout saw costs $8. Pre-mixed grout runs $12 to $15 a bucket and covers 40 square feet. Small tile repair contractors in urban and suburban markets charge between $75 and $150 for a job that takes 45 minutes. Emmett didn't have this one, but the arithmetic is the same kind he used every time. 7. Double entry bookkeeping for small businesses. This was taught in American vocational and commercial high schools from the 1890s through the early 1970s. Then computers arrived, software replaced the curriculum, and the skill disappeared from public education almost entirely by 1980. What didn't disappear is the need. A bookkeeper doing manual ledger reconciliation and basic account prep for small businesses in 1968 charged $12 an hour in rural Ohio. That is $100 an hour today. Bookkeepers without a CPA license working through QuickBooks or similar platforms for small local businesses now bill between $35 and $75 an hour depending on the market. The software changed. The need for someone who understands what the numbers mean did not. 6. Curing and smoking meat. This one goes back further than Emmett. Every rural household in America that kept a hog knew how to cure a ham. Salt, sugar, smoke, thyme. That's all it was. A cured country ham in 1948 ran $1.20 at a rural market. That's $15 today. Specialty cured hams at gourmet grocers and online now run between $40 and $120 for a single ham. The inputs, a pork leg, curing salt, a smokehouse, or a cold smoker setup run between $25 and $40. Check your state's cottage food laws on meat specifically. Most states have restrictions on meat sales that don't apply to other preserved foods. Know what your state allows before you smoke a single pound for sale. 5. Bartering services for goods. Emmett noted in 1938 that he traded 2 days of fence work for a quarter cord of oak and a bushel of corn. No cash changed hands, no receipt. He noted it in the ledger anyway because it had value. Barter networks for skilled labor have come back in a quieter form through local Facebook groups and neighborhood apps. If you have a skill, you have currency. The tax question with barter is real and worth a conversation with a tax preparer if you're doing it regularly. But the principle is as old as the gap between what one man knows and what another man needs. 4. Window glazing and glass repair. Before replacement windows, every house in America had single-pane glass set in wood frames with glazing compound. When a pane cracked, you replaced the glass and reglazed the frame. A glazing compound in 1959 ran 40 cents a can. That's $4.20 today. A can of glazing compound today runs $12 to $15. A single pane of glass cut to size at a hardware store runs $5 to $15 depending on dimension. Window glaziers working historic properties and older homes in the Northeast and Midwest charge between $80 and $150 a window. The skill has nearly vanished. The old houses haven't. 3. Shade tree mechanics. Basic automotive repair, oil changes, brake jobs, belt replacement, done in a driveway or a garage, was how the men in Emmett's generation kept their trucks running. In 1957, a full brake job at a garage in southern Kentucky ran $7.50. That is $80 today. The same brake job at a chain shop now runs between $150 and $250. Parts for a standard brake job on a common domestic truck run between $40 and $80 at any auto parts store. If you know how to do it, and you're doing it for yourself and your neighbors, that gap is real money. Know your state's rules on doing paid mechanical work without a license? In most states, casual shade tree work between private individuals sits in a gray area, but it's worth knowing where that line is before you advertise. 2. Appliance repair. A washing machine repair call in 1964 ran $4.50 for labor in rural Indiana. That is $45 today. An appliance repair call today runs between $85 and $150 just to show up before parts. The machines haven't gotten more complicated for a basic repairman. The number of people who know how to work on them has dropped by 2/3 since 1970. An appliance repair technician certification course runs between $300 and $800 at a community college or trade school. Parts are available online and ship in 2 days. The appliance repair industry is shorthanded in almost every rural and mid-size American market right now. I've been saying since number 10 that number 1 is the one that changes the math the most. Here it is. 1. Mobile notary and loan signing agent. This is not old. It is the new version of something Emmett would have recognized immediately, because the core of it is the same as everything else in this ledger. Someone needs a thing done. You know how to do it. You show up. A notary commission in most states costs between $20 and $40 in fees and a one-time training. A loan signing agent certification runs between $200 and $300. A single loan signing appointment pays between $75 and $200 and takes about an hour. A notary working evenings and weekends in a mid-sized American metro area can clear between $30,000 and $65,000 a year doing this part-time. The demand is driven by real estate closings and refinancing cycles. It is not passive. It is not guaranteed. But the barrier to entry is the lowest of anything on this list, and the dollar per hour return is the highest. Here's my challenge. Pick one. Just one from this list. The sharpening, the appliance work, the caning, the signing. Try it one weekend and find out what it actually pays. Then come back and tell me which one you started. Because here's what this list is really about, friend. An entire generation built real wealth with their hands, while the rest of us were told to get a degree and sit in traffic. Emmett didn't have a 401k. He had a ledger and a set of skills that nobody could repo. I tried the knife sharpening myself. 30 days, 12 customers a Saturday, $8 a blade. I found $340 a month I hadn't been making before, with tools I already owned, and 2 hours I already had. Your granddad knew all of this. Somebody just didn't get the chance to hand it down to you. But the list still works, the math still works, and none of it requires permission from anyone. Tell me down below which one you're going to try. I want to know if the mechanics outnumber the notaries. And if your father or grandfather had a hustle that didn't make this list, I want to hear it. I read every one of them. The comment that gets the most response is the one I build the next full video around. Next time, I open the ledger to 1953, and we count every way a man without a bank loan bought land in 7 years, and the exact year the rules changed to make sure that felt impossible to you. Keep what they knew. It'll keep you.